said, hey, I think what he's onto is something pretty good here. So I'd like to introduce from Big Bend Community College Athletic Director, Mark Poth.
Oh, can't use a clicker. Hey, you know, I've been in the NWAC now 33 years. To be honest with you, I started as a player at Bellevue Community College for Ernie Woods. You know what? I love the NWAC. I really do. I've coached at the high school level for
The session's over. The session's over.
It was the early 70s, Marco. I coached at the high school level for 6 years. I was at the University of Hawaii as 2 years as an assistant coach in Honolulu, and I loved my experience there. We actually played against North Carolina, and it was just an incredible experience. And I heard about, and I'm from Washington, and the assistant coach one day said, hey, there's a job open up at Big Bend. And I said, where's Big Bend? Is that in Oregon? Okay, we still get that. And I applied for it, and I was fortunate to get it. And I had bounced around a little bit with coaching, and my wife, every time we move, she cries. She's the sensitive one in the family. And I said, hey, we're coming to Big Bend, don't make any friends. Okay, then when we move, you won't have to cry, and we'll just be somewhere else. You know, I says, hey, I think maybe we can kind of turn things around here a little bit. And, you know, they won one game, I think, the year before. I says, geez, I think I can at least do that good. You know, and I came to the NWAC and I came to Big Bend, and it was a place where I really loved, appreciated it, and thought it'd be a great place to raise my family, to be honest with you. And that was about 32 years ago. And it's been a great blessing in my life. I love the NWAC, I love the junior college level. I understand probably the challenges of it with 30 years plus of experience. I've seen the ups and downs, I've seen the finances. I was a commissioner for a long time, a while back, so I feel like I've had a pretty good understanding of the NWAC and what it's all about here and the struggles that we all face as athletic directors. Our athletic director, we've never had a full-time athletic director at Big Bend. Preston Wilkes, you know, bless his soul, was the part-time athletic director, business instructor, you know, and also the women's basketball coach. And if any of us took on all of those roles, we could probably see there's just not enough time in the day to get things done. So out of frustration, and one of the main things we were frustrated with as an athletic program is, remember when the state came out and said, hey, no more state money for athletics. And some of you might not even realize that, you know, most of you, they says, well, we're giving you money out of this state money, but now we can't do that anymore. But we can give you money out of the tuition money. So the institution just said, instead of paying you out of this pocket, we're now going to pay you out of this pocket. And life went on just as rosy as it ever was before. Well, at Big Bend, this is what they said. Well, we can't give you state money anymore. We're paying you out of state money. So now you got $200,000 less to work with. Figure it out. Now the reason they told us to figure it out, because we had been funded at a pretty nice level. And we had $250,000 surplus in an athletic account. And they said, hey, when that account hits zero, let us know and we'll figure out a plan for you. Okay? So out of frustration, Preston stepped down, and what they did in this process was, let's talk to all the coaches in the athletic department and get their viewpoint how athletics are going. So I went into the vice president's office and I just told him how it was going. And it wasn't probably the most positive information he wanted to receive. And I just told him the truth of where we're heading and what the consequences is going to be of the direction we're going. And a couple days later, he called me back in, and he said, hey, you know, what would you do different? And I said, well, here's some things that I think that we need to do different as an athletic department to make progress. Not only with the funding, but in the community, with the athletic success, meaning academics and socially and the whole works. I said, here's some things that I think we need to do to have an impact on student-athletes' life, be a positive influence on campus, in the community, and really give people an opportunity to succeed. So a few days later, they came back, and the president said, hey, Mark, why don't you do the athletic director? I says, well, you know, I'm not quite sure I want to transition to that position, President, because I'll be honest with you, I'm only going to be around a couple more years. I'm either going to die or retire. One of those two things are going to happen. All right? And he says, well, I tell you what, why don't you do the AD next year? And I says, well, he says, I'll tell you what, Mark, this is what we'll do. We'll pay you less, okay? You won't have to worry about summer break anymore because you're going to work June, July, and August. You know that 3 weeks you got off in December? Forget about that. You know spring break? There's no spring break. So you know that 9 months you don't work, and I'm exaggerating, we're going to give you 2 weeks off. I said, man, President, that's a deal I just can't turn down. And really, that was the reality of it. I put in incredible amount of time trying to do the vision of what we're trying to do as a college now. I'm taking less pay. And the only reason I'm doing it, to be honest with you, because I think I can make a difference. I think I can make a difference. And that's my priority. So, the first thing I did was at Big Bend. Dennis kind of talked about that central team. We call it the executive team at Big Bend. They're the hub, and then all the organizations off of that. The first thing I did is I visited individually with every single person on that executive team. And I said, hey, as far as athletics goes, what's the #1 thing that you would like to see done better at Big Bend? And one of them said, well, you know what? I'd really like the athletes to perform better academically. And I said, well, you know, we kind of won the President's Cup 2 out of the 4 years. And the 2 years we didn't win it, we were second. And actually had a higher score than when we finished first. Oh, really? President's Cup, tell me about that. Well, they probably heard of it, but they had no idea. No one has any idea of what we're doing academically on campus. Because the assumption is college athletes are what? They're dumb. Okay? I want you to know that that is not the truth, but is there that perception on your campus, do you believe? That if you talked and polled your professor, would they say your student athletes are raising the bar academically for your institution, or are they dragging the bar down? What do you think they would say? I think they'd be surprised to say no matter what your success is, their assumption and their stereotype is what? Athletes do not perform as well. All they do is care about athletics. They don't want to go to class. They're late. They're irresponsible. That is sometimes the image, unfortunately, we have. So as an athletic director, I said, okay, that's one big concern I'm going to have with this executive team in this college, is I'm going to have to show that we're doing something academically. So then I became best friends with the assessment person. Now you're probably tired of the word assessment, right? But we assess everything. You can get data on anything. So I said, I'm going to have to get with the assessment part and see what's going on academically. The second concern was, we're not involved enough in the community. You come to our games, nobody's there. And we get some of the better crowds in the end back at Big Bend. But for standards of going to a game at Central and coming to a game at Big Bend, you say, where's the crowds at? And you know, it's even more of a challenge over here on the west side. When I played at Bellevue, you know, my girlfriend came, and every once in a while my dad showed up, and it was a struggle getting people into the stands. So one of them said, you know what, I want us to get more involved with our community. What can we do to build a better relationship between Big Bend and community? And that's one of our college's core themes, is community engagement. But sometimes we're not succeeding at that as well as we could. So that was another concern I had, okay? I went to the vice president, he says, okay, Mark, this is what I want you to do. I want you to come up with a sustainable budget that works for the college and works for athletics. And I said, boy, we definitely need that, because that was the #1 thing on my agenda, is we have to finance. Because right now, you know, Dennis says what? We would be unhealthy and dumb, right? Instead of smart and healthy. Because we got a lot of issues going on. And our athletic department was so disconnected from everything else on campus, you would have just thought it was an isolated satellite program they run over here, and we're not engaged at all in the administration. So me and the vice president got together and said, hey, I bet I could be on the board of governance, right? I says, hey, do you think I could be in that instructional council meeting that meets every week? And I'll be honest with you, my philosophy is it takes a pretty good meeting to beat no meeting at all, okay? So I hate meetings, unless things are getting done. But I said to myself, I'm gonna have to go be part of this instructional council meeting so I can introduce and keep people abreast of what's going on with athletics on the campus. I want them to know every single positive thing that we're doing at Big Bend. And then I went to the president. Now, if you come to the games, the president's easy to find. Okay, he sits up on about the 5th row there with a big Viking horn hat on. Okay, now you're making progress if your president's in the crowd with a Viking horn hat on. Okay, some of you probably have never even seen your president at a game. Okay, and we've had those presidents too. But our president is very participative. That's the type of leader he is. He's not an autocratic leader at all. He's not going to come out and just make a decision unless he's got everybody on the boat involved in it and feeling good about it. That's his leadership style. So now I start to look at these elements and what we can do to try to build this program at Big Bend. So I said, okay, community engagement. What can we do to better engage the community? And my thing is I want more people in the seats. Okay? Our game last night, my ticket guy, okay, we made over $2,000 in the gate. Now, would that be a good gate for most of you? You made $2,000? Okay, we made $2,000 last night at Spokane Gate, okay? And there's a lot of factors involved in that. But I let a ton of people in free to our games. That's one thing I said, hey, let me run who gets in games. Okay, the money comes to us anyway, it goes in our scholarship fund. So if you have any youth group that wants to come to a game, Ken's got 15 scouts. Hey, Ken, bring them on in. We let them in for free. Okay? I started to look at, we have a service district. How am I going to get these other schools, Royal City, Odessa, all these other schools, how can I maybe get them involved in what we're doing athletically here? Well, when we played Wenatchee, Greg was there. We had over 150 people from Royal City at that game. And what I did, everybody from Royal City got in free. At the halftime of the women's game, we honored their, we called it Royal Appreciation Night. We honored their women's basketball team, their cheer squad, their football team there has won umpteen dozen state championships. So at the halftime of the men's game, we got our spotlights out and strobe lights going. We introduced every young man on that football team. Then we gave them a nice presentation. We gave them a nice certificate, a plaque, appreciating them for what they do for our service district. Hey, they loved it, we loved it, and that was part of our community engagement plan. We do character crew, where our athletes will go to elementary schools and put on a half-hour, 45-minute assembly on what we call character crew. And the CREW each stands for, like, character, respect, and I have each student athlete talk about that. And then I got a big old vinyl, if you came in last year, we had a big old vinyl banner, and I have every kid sign that, that's going to be committed to living these principles of the character crew. And then I put that in our gym. And every single kid in the character crew, they get into all our games free. We let people in free all the time. Sometimes my concessions is a lot more than my gate, to be honest with you. So we started to do things with every single Friday. Our baseball team goes into an elementary school and they're in a reading program for 2 hours. And they just go in and say, hey, I'm on the baseball team. I'd like to just help you in your class. You want me to read, whatever you want me to do to help out. They volunteer every single Friday, 2 hours of their time. Every athletic program is required to do community service. Okay, we've done things for the animal refuge, we've unloaded hay, but we try to get our student athletes thinking of giving. And I love the idea that Dennis said, $1 if you're a freshman, right? 2 if you're a sophomore, 3 if you're a junior, And if you can afford it, 4 is a senior. Because it's not the money, it's the what? It's the principle. Now, raising money is hard. So I said to myself, what's my best chances of money? Well, my best chances of money is I got 30 years of players. And I keep in contact with quite a few of them. I said, what happens if 30 years of players just sent me 50 bucks every year? What would that do to my budget? So now what we started doing at Big Bend is to locate alumni. Locate alumni. Because they are going to be a great sense of revenue. You're going to have a lot more success from a former student athlete than Fred running a farm up the road. Okay, that's just the reality of it. And it's an avenue that we can tap into. So then I said to myself, how are we going to get locating all of these alumni? I said, you know what we're going to do? We're going to do a Hall of Fame banquet. We've never done a Hall of Fame banquet at Big Bend before. So I said, let's do a Hall of Fame banquet. I got right off the top of my head, we got like 4 or 5 national wrestling champs when we had wrestling. We got some teams that had success here and there. We inducted 4 teams and about 12 individuals at our first Hall of Fame banquet. Now, what you're thinking right now is, oh man, that NWAC Hall of Fame banquet. No, seriously.
Hey, we cut it in half.
And they actually charged me for it. I think I ought to get paid to attend it. And a free dinner. Okay, but we do it because we just love everybody and we want to help everybody out. But do you really want to listen to someone go on and on about their team in 1942? They're terrible. So what I said is we're going to have a Hall of Fame banquet, and we got to bring all these people through, and I got to be done in an hour. Yeah, I got to be done in an hour. So what we do is I put a PowerPoint presentation together, and it comes up there, and it says their highlights. I have one guy with a great voice, you know, NWAC Eastern Region MVP, scored 22 points a game, 15 rebounds, da-da-da-da, 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 da-da-da-da. 1 minute. We're done with them. Do you need to know any more about him than that? Seriously, you don't. Okay? So then, I take one of my student athletes with a towel. Because you've all been to a wrestling match, right? And when the time's up, he goes out and does what? He hits the official on the back with the towel and he knows he's done. Hey, you got 5 minutes to talk. That's it. And the clock's running. And when the 5 minutes are up, we come hit you with the towel. That's how it works. So, is that the kind of Hall of Fame banquet you'd like to be part of? Yeah. Give me 5 minutes of wisdom. That's about all you got in you anyway. After that, we're reminiscing. We're wasting everybody's time. So you know what? The people that came to our Hall of Fame banquet from the community, they loved it. They said, Mark, I love the format of it. We show a couple PowerPoints. I show their picture from 1965 and the wrestling outfit. And then I show them a current thing. And we get through the banquet just like that. And now I take everybody at the banquet and I say, hey, what's your email address? What's all your contact information? Now we start to put it into our Student Athlete Alumni Association. One of the players, I said, hey, guys, I need money, man. Send me money. One of my former players, I should have played him more. He gave me $1,000 bucks. If I'd have played him, it might have been 5. But do you see the concept of where is your target group? Where are you going to have success? Okay? And you say, you know what? If Jeremy sent me something and says, hey, Mark, you played at Bellevue. We're having, it should be the Helmsman, all right, but it's the Bulldogs now. You know what? I might say, you know, Jeremy, I'll send you $100 bucks. I played there. I had a great experience. I loved it there. Hey, I'll give you $100 bucks. But has anyone ever contacted me from Bellevue in 30 years asking me for a dime? No, no one ever has. I think it's a great untapped part of what we can do. So now, academics. Marco brought it up, Dennis brought it up. You recruit your problems, right? We really do. They come in, hey, coach, this guy's a knucklehead. Yeah, why'd you recruit him? I mean, just that simple. So when we look at recruitment, I am really focused on a well-rounded student athlete. I want one that's not, I tell every student athlete that comes on campus for a recruiting trip has to visit with me. Yeah, I take time to do that. So he brings them in, and I said, hey, Fred, we got a whole different culture here at Big Bend than anywhere else. I'm going to explain our culture, and then you're going to say, this is a good place for me, or it's not a good place for me. And I say, hey, we got training rules here. You don't smoke weed. You don't do drugs. You go to class every single day. You don't ever miss a class. You're responsible. You behave yourself. You do all of these things. And I say, is that the environment you're looking for? Because if you want to go party, if you want to smoke, if you want to do this and that, then this is not the culture for you. You will not succeed here, okay? And we will not succeed here with you. And I give everyone that speech that comes in my office. Hey, if they don't come, great. We missed, whoa. We missed, this means I'm going too slow. So that's what we do. That's what we do with what we're trying to create there. Now the other concern was academics. I went to the assessment person. I told him, run the numbers. I want to know what GPAs are. I want to know what our progress is in accumulating credits. And I want to know who's graduating. Because that's pretty much what the president's based on, right? It's credits, are you progressing, and are you getting a degree? And they came back and said, hey Mark, student athletes far exceed the regular student at Big Bend. Higher rate of graduation, higher GPA, higher accumulation of credits. So now all of a sudden, we are not the trailer taking the academics down. We are the locomotive that's bringing it up. And then I say, furthermore, there's other benefits that athletics brings in to Big Bend. Last quarter, for example, we had 43 students in the dorms. Is that you, Tracy? We had 43 students in the dorms. Well, the dorms are like $900 a quarter. You take 900 times 43, where are you at? Our dorms aren't full. You take our athletes out of there, it's going to suffer. Everything on campus, we build. We build the bookstore. We build the dorms. We build the cafeteria. And all of us would agree this. I have 105 athletes at Big Bend. We stop athletics. President says we're dropping athletics. Okay? Are those 105 staying at Big Bend? No. We bring in student athletes that are at their institution because of athletics. I say, President, I don't go the first day of school and say, try out for the men's basketball team and see who's on campus is going to show up and make a team. We know how successful that's going to be. I say, we got 105 athletes here, and if it wasn't for athletics, they would not be at Big Bend. That is the first message you have to get across. They need to realize that this is additional tuition and additional FTE money. That's paramount number one, okay? Now the second thing is how much money do they bring in? And this is the funny thing. The guys in the East are probably tired of me because what am I always doing, Fun? What's your budget? What you doing here? What do you get? And, you know, they get tired of it. Have you ever asked your institution what they get for an FTE for a student athlete? Do you know that number? Now, you know what's funny? Your number is different than that number, that's different than that number, that's different than that number, that's different from this number. I've heard all kinds of numbers. Some I get really excited about. But the only number you can get excited about is what your VP of Finances says it is. I can't say, well, you know, Highline, they're getting this much for an FTE, and they go, what? Because not all FTEs, it's just not a concrete number. If you're in a workforce program and a transfer degree in this program, there's all different kinds of incentives. So I said to our VP, I said, hey, how much am I getting? And she figured it out and said this, and this, and this, and this, and this, and this. So I said, give me the lowest number you think you could possibly justify. So I got that number. So now I know when I negotiate with them, we have a number. And that's the first thing. Let me just look at, is this slide in focus? My eyes are bad, that's why I'm asking. Okay. What this is, just to give you an idea, this is where Big Bend is. We got 5 teams. In 1920, we want to go to 9, we want to go to 13, we want to go to 15, we want to go to 17. That about maxes out, right? I'm about where you are, right, Ken? Right? Am I Ken? Yeah, you are. Because I guarantee you this. If he's got 17 sports, and I know he does, 15 anyway, add something. If he's got 15 sports, the reason he does is because somebody up on high understands tuition and FTEs. If they don't understand tuition and FTEs, you're not getting anywhere. I can go in there and talk about, we're going to build character, and we're going to, you know what? It all sounds good, but do you think they really care? All they care about is what is the financial ramifications of athletics. And are you being good students? Are you being good character? Now, one of them said, I'm concerned about the behavior of student athletes. Because the problem is, all of our student athletes, half of them are in the dorms. So when half of them are in the dorms, proportionately, we cause more problems. It appears to be, but it's because our percentage is so much higher. So there's little incidents come up. So I said to her, I said, okay, what can we do, you think, to improve behavior? And she says, you know, Mark, I think they need a little bit more knowledge on Title IX and sexual harassment, what you can do, what you can't do, because sometimes we get issues. And I says, okay, what can we do about that? How can we train them to do that? And he says, well, we have a program where we can send it online, and you go through it, and you self-train yourself on sexual harassment. I says, you know what? Let's do that. I'm going to give you every email of every student athlete coming into Big Bend, and I'm going to require them, before they get to campus, day one, to go through that training on sexual harassment. And what does she say? Hey, thanks, Mark, that sounds good. So what I've done, I've looked at the needs of the executive team, and what I'm trying to do is not just go in and tell them what I want to meet every one of their needs. So they say, you know what, he's trying to make a difference. And then maybe when I present my needs, they're a little bit more receptive to helping out. So now, I want to go from 5 sports to 17, and I got to get my college to buy into it. So let's go the first one there, Tracy, that says the numbers, okay? Okay, let's see if I get this right. All right, this is what my financial person told me. We get about that amount right there. What is that, 1,700? Just over 1,700? Tuition at Big Bend. Everyone's tuition is going to be different. But if we take 15 credits, that's what the tuition at Big Bend is going to be. Now, what we find when I look at the finances and the numbers, we bring in more than that. They say, okay, Mark, you got 105, you got 100 students, for example, but you're actually creating like 106 FTEs. Some of them might take a summer class, some might be taking 18 credits to graduate, so this number fluctuates. Uh-oh. There you go. Trade's making it bigger for us. Okay, so now, basically, it's $3,000 a quarter, tuition and FTEs, $9,000 a year. So now, my financial aid person, or the VP of Finances understands that number, I understand that number, so we know where we're at. So now what I have to do is figure out how is that translating to what we're doing and the money we're getting. Okay, Tracy, I know you got a pretty girl whispering in your ear here. Can you go to the next one here? All right, now, let's take a look. Can you, if you slide that bottom one right over here, Tracy, is there a little slide button just to enlarge that? Because they got to be able to see this or it might not make sense. There we go. Okay. Okay, let's just look at the top square here, for example. And Marco, let me know how I'm doing on time, okay? Because I might have to go a little bit quicker, I think. I'm getting long-winded here. Right now, we offer 5 sports: volleyball, women's basketball, men's basketball, baseball, and softball. There's our 5 sports. So my big thing with my coaches is this. I want you to have full roster sizes. That's your job. I want more students to have an opportunity to participate. If you ever show up to a basketball game with 7 players, just consider yourself fired. Okay? I want full roster sizes. When we travel, I want us to look respectable. Okay? And at the same time, I want us generating the maximum number of FTEs so my college knows this is our focus. So when we look at it, I have over here the travel size. Now this is the NWAC gives you this travel size here, right? So I just take that as a full roster. But the bottom line is, who's got a baseball team that's only got 24 players on it? Nobody. So I tell my baseball guy, listen, you're not going to have 24, you want 40 at least. So I say, your goal is to have 40. I want my volleyball team 15, 15, 17, 40, 18. That's what I want them to recruit. Day one shows up, that's how many players you should have in your program or more. Okay, that's expectation number 1. So now, if we do that, if we take this goal here, which is 105, this is how much it would generate. $881,000 I'm going to bring into the college with FTE and tuition. Okay? Now, it's going to significantly reduce if they don't do their job. So, for example, Tracy, could you come over here to the volleyball team? Instead of 15, 15, 15, will you just put 10, 10, 10? Okay. Now, we could have brought in what? 881, right? But the volleyball team only had 10 girls this year. How much did we bring in? 835, right? Instead of what? 81. How much money did we lose?
47.
That was 50 grand? We lost 50 grand. We lost $50,000 because the volleyball coach won't recruit a team. Okay? Really, that's the bottom line, right? So now, I go, this is how I do our budget. You want to know how we do our budget? I get, okay, anyway, Tracy, here we go. So the bottom line is, this is your negotiation right here. I say, college, right now, we're bringing in this much tuition. I've taken out the 25% tuition waiver, because no one gets that money, right? That just, no money there, no monopoly money, it doesn't exist. But I don't know about you, but we pay for all our scholarships out of the athletic department, okay? I take it from my ASB money, which isn't really the college. I get it from ASB, pays for all my scholarship money. So the school is getting that money, okay? They're getting this money from us. Now your situation might be different in Oregon, but the bottom line is none of you have more than 8 scholarships in basketball, right? And most of you carry 15, 16 players. So you got half on scholarship, half on not. Okay, and scholarship in Washington is still only 65%. All right? So now what I say to the college is this, hey, FTE, you get all the FTE money. Why do they get all the FTE money? Because it's state money. They can't give it to athletics. But let's look at this tuition number here. Of this 100%, why don't you take 25% and give me 75%? And then this is how it breaks down. This is what the college gets. This is what I get. They're getting about what? 72% of the budget. I'm getting 28% of the budget. And what we have to remember, this is money that who brought in? Athletics. This isn't any other source of money. This is money we have generated extra to the college. So now, this is where we're at. Now let's go to the next slide. And I'm just going to go through this quick. All right, this would be our 3rd year. Now in our 3rd year, we have our current sports, which is 5. We're going to add golf, golf, soccer, soccer. Okay, that's what we're going to add. So now that takes us right here. These are my new numbers. Here's my new numbers here. Let's go down to here now. Tracy, what do I got here? It comes out 69-31. The split's always about 70-30 on everything. So now, how much money is the college bringing in now? Now this is net, right? They're not giving me any other, this is what their profit. After they pay me, I'm now giving them $1 million. What was I giving them the year before? 600. So I've added 4 sports. I've created more scholarships, more employment, fill the dorms higher, more money here, more money there, okay? They have made $400,000 by us adding 4 sports. Okay, now let's go to the next year here. Okay, here we are. Now we're up to 7 sports. We add what? Track, cross country. Ken, tell them how many track, cross country guys you got.
Oh, it's over 100.
Over 100. I'm scratching my head going, over 100? That's $1 million, and you still only have what? 8 scholarships? What do you? And then you got cross country, a few scholarships. Now the thing is, do you have a track? We don't have a track. But you know what? The athletic director at Moses Lake thinks it's a great idea. If I use his track, I give him $10,000 a year. I use his track. He got a great facility. Okay? Now I got track. Now Ken, instead of having 110, he might have 108. Because now Big Ben's got 108. Now what I did on these numbers here though, is I was a little more conservative than Ken's numbers. I took track here, okay, 50, okay, our goal this. But what I come out to, where's the revenue for the college right now? 1.5 million. Okay, they're not paying anything else. I'm paying all the coaches. I'm taking care of all the overhead. So now they're making 600 and something now. I say, hey, give me 3 years. I'll bring you in $1.5 million. I mean, just look at the numbers. They're your numbers. Okay, let's go on to the next one. All right, we had tennis. Okay, maybe you got a tennis court, maybe you don't. You know, tennis is going to help our GPA. Okay? That's what tennis is going to do. But still, just adding a small sport with not many participants, okay, when I went from 1.5 to what? 1.7. Just adding tennis. Okay. What's the percentages here? This is what I have. And I have ASP money too, so I don't know if you have ASP money, but I put this in. So you have to look at your situation to make numbers meet, make sure you can pay for coaches and do all of those things. Now, let's go ahead and skip to this one right here. I got 5 minutes, right, Marco?
Yep.
Okay, this is going to be quick. Okay, remember I told you about budgets? This is what frustrated me to death. I carried 18 players on my men's basketball team. The girls' coach carried 10. Same budget. Every year at Big Ben, I went 3,000 over on my budget. Yeah, they say, oh, Poth, he can't stay within a budget. How are we going to hire these guys? I just went to the president one day. I said, hey, president, you got 2 choices here. Do you want me to cut down to 12, and it's going to cost you 80 grand, or do you want me to go 3,000 over? You just let me know. It's your pick. He says, Mark, I think we can live with the 3. It's understanding, though. It's understanding, right? So now, this is what I do on team budgets. If you have a full roster, there's your budget. Okay? Now, we've taken things out of different areas, so my budget might not include the same things that yours does. Okay? But now what I do here is, let's take volleyball, for example. They should be creating, 15 students should create 45 FTEs, right? Right, each quarter, fall, winter, spring, that makes sense, 3 times 15, 45. Okay, their actual, I gave them a budget of 26,000. This is how many they have. What's the budget I'm giving them? Yeah, you carry 10 girls, you're getting 20 grand. I said, so you got a choice. You got a big decision to make next year. Do you want to fundraise this 6 grand to get you up from 20 to that? Or do you want to try to get 5 more players? Mm-hmm. Hey, I tell them, I don't want to see car washes. I don't want to see that stuff, okay? We're going to do some big events. We're all going to focus on them. But The best thing you can do for your program is to have a full roster. The college wins and you win, right? Now, you got to get your administration to buy in on this. I've had so many meetings with my executive team, it's driving me crazy. Oh yeah, let's double check those numbers, Mark. I said, you gave me the numbers, they check. Okay, but it's getting over that hurdle. Now let's go to the next one here. And go ahead, go to the next one, says salary. I got 3 minutes now, right, Marco? Let me tell you what I do on our coaches. What are the 3 things I want my coaches to do? Okay, I want my coaches to win games. I want my coaches to academically prepare their student athletes. Okay, and I want my coaches to have full rosters. That's what I want them to do. That's the expectation of what I want them to do in our program. Good student athletes, good academics. Okay? So this is how I pay. I give them a base salary, but I give them an extra $1,000 if they recruit a full roster. Okay? I give them an extra $1,000 if their team meets our academic standard. I give them $1,000 if they go to the tournament. Hey, you do your job, you get rewarded. You don't? You don't. It's all incentive based, but it all is geared towards what? Full rosters.
Are you
Yes.
looking for a coach?
We don't have time for any questions.
I say, are you looking for a coach?
Yeah, right. There we go. We were always looking for coaches. Give us a full roster, good students, and we're off and running. Okay, now let's go to the next one. Okay? Now, this is, blow that up a little bit, Tracy. This is the last one right here. So you didn't get that. Okay. So right now at Big Bend, this is what we're bringing in as an athletic department. Year 1, we go to 14, 1.4 million. We get to year 5, you add all these up, we brought in almost $10 million to the college. But now our programs are at the point where they're bringing in over $2 million a year. So if you run that out for 10 years, we're bringing in just about $25 million by expanding athletics, giving student athletes an opportunity to participate, increase enrollment, because this is what you find at Big Bend. When the economy's terrible, enrollment's high. When the economy's great, enrollment's terrible. Okay, so really we're the only corporation that wishes for, bad economics, right? We're the only one. So when you look at that, what does athletics give the college? It does not give them highs and lows. We could care less where the economy is, because we got players that want to play and get a college education. So now I'm bringing in over 300 and something FTEs that you can count on despite where the economy is. So that's the vision I've been trying to get across to my institution. I simplified my charts because the next 10 of them are so complicated. I said, if I don't simplify it, no one's going to get what I'm trying to say. But that's the vision and the direction we're trying to go with. And the hard part is selling the concept to people that are not necessarily financial people. Okay? They don't think that way all the time. But if you can show you're doing a job, if you look at your thing and you're not getting things done academically, you better figure out a way to get it done. That's going to be number one. You're not going anywhere if your student athletes are terrible. At Big Bend, I require every single one of my coaches. We have a departmental monitoring program that monitors every student athlete. They sit down every single time on a grade check and visit with every student athlete personally. If they're in any class below a 2.0, they have to put an academic plan together of how we're going to raise that grade. He's got to go here, he's got to go there, she's got to do this, whatever it is. Okay? And then if they 2 times the next grade check they're still under, then they got to come to me. And then I say, hey, do you like Big Ben? Would you like to continue here? Well, good. Go transfer to Wenatchee. See you later. But then I said, hey, but pay your tuition first. All right, so that's kind of the vision of what we're trying to do at Big Ben. I'm going through strategic planning now, submitting budgets and what we need to do to start soccer and do some of those things. But the whole thing is this. Your administration has to know that athletics is a locomotive. That's what they got to realize. And once they realize that, it's not a deadbeat trailer that you're hauling behind your pickup truck, all right? It's a locomotive that can make difference. Can you imagine if all of us had full sports in the NWAC? Hey, wouldn't it be an exciting conference? Just think of the opportunities for student athletes, scholarships, employment money. Just the benefits of where the NWAC could go is endless. But you got to get the administration to buy into it. And you might have to do what they want first before they're going to help you out. Hey, God bless you and thanks.
Any questions for Mark? We've taped it, unfortunately. Some of it. We've taped it so you'll be able to see it, but quick questions for Mark real quick.
Yes.
Just a quick comment, and just to kind of, you went fast and you talk fast, and I like it a lot. And just to back up what you said, so we do this every year at Clackamas as well. Last year we had 260 student athletes and we netted $1.3 million to the college that we showed on charge of the administration.
There you go.
So the numbers match up exactly with what, when you added that second year, it was almost identical to that.
Well, that's good because
Yeah.
I was thinking there might be a bigger difference maybe with Washington and Waco.
Hey, can I ask you what your stipends are for your coaches for all these requirements?
You know what? This plan is proposed for next year because you got to go to the Attorney General and make sure you can do some of this stuff. Like, can I really pay someone extra if they really do a good job? I mean, those are kind of things we're still working out. So our payment plan isn't in place for this year, but this is where we're headed for in the future as we expand athletics. So.
Any other questions for Mark?
So they get that $100 now. They get that $100 now.
Yeah, as soon as you send the letter. You know, seriously, I'm sitting next to Jeremy there, and he's got his utensils to write with for the day. His pencils are that big. That's when you know things are tough. If you're writing on pencils this big, you know the budget's tough. Show it, Jeremy. Look at that. And the embarrassing thing is it says Bellevue Community College Athletics on it. Okay?
Mark, Mike, that's a good question.
Yes.
Your incentive base is not in place right now. That's not been approved yet.
No, that's what we're working on for our sustainable budget. Because then it's the nice thing about it, it's an incentive for us to work hard, right, Mike? Yeah. If you know your budget is based on this, then what becomes your priority? Quality student athletes, community engagement, and I gotta have full roster sizes. And the college wins and you win. As you can see, 5 students can make a difference of what? $50,000. I mean, it's incredible.
So
incredible. It's funny because I go to a basketball game and I saw 7 girls on the court. And you know the first thing that came to my mind? I think they lost $100 grand. Yeah, that's what comes to my mind. I think the college lost $100 grand doing this. You think the president's got any idea? And the thing is, don't assume your administration knows this. My president doesn't know it. When I visit with him, it's like, oh, really? Oh, I didn't know that. They have no idea. So our whole thing now, when budgets are low and things are tough, is how are we going to sell the idea next year that we're going to add sports? Do you see what I'm saying? Because what's every professor going to say on campus? Well, geez, we got budget cuts, we're cutting a teacher here, we can't hire a replacement here, and we're adding a soccer team? Come on now. Everyone has to understand the finances behind every decision. And our vice president is starting to do that. We go to budget meetings now, and he talks like this. We have to look at putting our budget into programs that can increase FTEs, because that's what we need at this time. So we're getting the message across, but it doesn't happen overnight. They tell me, Mark, you always want everything done tomorrow, and I do. But I wanted to add soccer next year. But to go through this process, it's taken me a year just to develop relationships and gain a little trust and try to let them see the benefits of athletics.
Okay, a couple things. We got to move on. Find Mark if you want to talk more about him. I know one of the schools in Washington already do incentive. Ken, you want to talk just briefly about that?
Yeah, real quick. We do an incentive program based on academic success, and what it is just a stipend that we pay them, and depending on how many student athletes they're working with, and if they do well enough, we'll give them a stipend at the end of the year. We do it when the President's Cup report comes out.
Is that money state money or is that fundraising money?
It's from SNA money. It's SNA money.
And HR knows you do that?
Yes, they do. And I mean, we pay our coaches stipends out of SNA money, and the chancellor signs off on it.
Thank you very much, Mark. I would encourage you guys to ask questions. I know Dr. Mike and them have done similar stuff at SWAC, so you may want to talk to them about how that all generates and jives. So appreciate it.
Yeah, and if there's anybody that maybe wants an electronic copy of this, this is my abbreviated. I got another 10 pages on it, but everything's interactive. So if I go in and change a coaching pay here, it goes through every other page and makes that adjustment. So it goes to the budget, it goes to everything. So if anybody wants electronic, I've shared it with a few people already, but if you're interested, shoot me an email and I'll send it to you.
I'll just send out the slideshows that we have today. We'll send it out to all you guys. So I'll give you Mark's
all right. Thank you.
As Duncan's coming up to get us started with the code information, a couple announcements. Lunch will be